All right, so today, what are we doing? I'm going to actually, so you have a quiz to do in Edgenuity. Oh, quiz, I know. It's only 10 questions, so that's kind of our saving grace. And it's multiple choice, so that's kind of makes it a little easier, right? But some of the questions today are a little confusing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do you a true solid here. And I'm going to go over 5 questions on your quiz, like 5 legit word for word, number for number questions. So if you remember what that answer was that we circled and we did together, that we're going to do together in 5 minutes, then great. But I want to go over them because I feel like some of them are a little bit more confusing and not as straightforward as maybe your normal quizzes would be. Now, remember, when you take a quiz in Edgenuity, you only have 10 questions, but there's an entire bank that it pulls from. So like, let's say, Aaron takes a quiz and Taylor takes a quiz. They're not going to get most likely, they're not going to get the same exact 10 questions. I think there's like 20 questions that Edgenuity randomly pulls from. So some of you might see these questions. Some of you might see all of them. Some of you might see none of them. I truly don't know how Edgenuity is going to pull yours just because it's completely random. Okay. But at least if you see them, we can do them and you'll have maybe a better idea as to maybe what the answer is and how to find the answer. Okay. So that's what we're going to be doing on Edgenuity as soon as I finish going over this stuff with you guys. So here's the first question that I thought was kind of confusing. So guys, you don't have to write this down, but I do want you to listen and try to absorb and understand. And I, of course, have the answer blocked out and post it because, well, I want you to think about it first. Let's do it together and try to think about it. Okay, so which equation is equivalent? Remember, when we say equivalent, what does that mean, equivalent? Brooke? Yeah, equivalent means equal. So which equation is equal to blah, 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 blah. So before you start drawing your wall and, like a perfect student you are, like start solving for X, notice, like, look at your answer choices. They're not even asking you to solve for X. They're basically saying this is the same thing as writing this or this or this or this. So you're really not solving anything. Let's think about it. Okay, let's think about this problem. So look at your answer choices. For this one, it starts with negative 5, 6. So do you see how there's a negative 5, 6 here? So does that make sense that technically this person, I guess I have to write in pencil because I'll be erasing too. This person took the 2/3 X and moved it to this side to end up with negative 5, 6. Does that make sense? That maybe that's what they did? Like, remember how I always say you have to drop down the smaller X first? Well, I say that rule so that you'll have happy positives to work with, but you don't have to. So these are all different ways to solve it. So if my answer choice is left over with a negative 5, 6, then they must have taken this and moved it to the other side. So that they must have taken the 2/3 X. So let's just move the 2/3 X. So if I'm moving the 2/3 X, right, X over X, how do you think they moved it? Add, subtract, multiply, or divide? Brooke? Because there's a plus here. There's an add, right? So opposite of add is subtract. So they subtracted 2/3 X. So let's subtract it and see what the answer is because maybe they got it right and maybe they got it wrong. So negative 5/12. I have to type in alpha y equals enter, negative 5/12, and then minus, and then alpha y equals enter 2/3. So they should have gotten negative 13/12. Oh, you can't see, sorry. Negative 13/12. Did they end up with negative 13/12 on that side? No. So do you see how this is not an answer? Does that make sense what I'm doing, you guys? I don't want to confuse you, but like you kind of have to look at where they started and where they ended to see. So like, let's take a look at this one, letter choice B then, even though it doesn't say B. Okay, do you see how the answer starts with the 2/3 X? That means they must have taken this and moved it to the other side because there's a 2/3 left here. So they must have moved the 5, 6 over. So I'm going to put the 5, 6 underneath the 1/4 because you see how this does not have an X. So put it under the one that does not have an X. So this says minus 5, 6. Karina, what is opposite of minus? Yes, perfect, positive, plus. So I'm going to add 5, 6 to both sides. So let's add 5, 6. Wait, 1/4 plus 5, 6. Is that going to give me a negative answer?
No.
Right? Yeah, like I don't even have to I don't even have to type that in my calculator because a positive number plus a positive number is going to give me a positive answer. But this is a negative answer. So I know that can't be it either. Okay, so it's not letter B. All right, let's move on then. Let's go to the next one. Letter C. They end up with 1/4 x minus 5/6 equals 1/4. So what's different? The 5/6 is the 5/6. The 1/4, this is different. And this is 1/4 here. But I don't see a 5/12 here. So they must have taken this and moved it to this side. Okay. So let's drop down the 5/12 x on both sides. I'm going to put the x's under the x's. Okay, I see a negative 5/12. So J, what is opposite of negative? So I'm going to add 5/12 to both sides. So 2/3 plus 5/12, let's just type it in. Alpha y equals 2/3 plus alpha y equals enter 5/12. That gives me 13/12. Do I see 13/12 x? No, I see 1/4. All right, so this can't be it. Oh my gosh. Okay, unless I did something completely wrong and I got everything wrong, I really hope that answer choice D is my answer. Okay, so for this one, 2/3 x minus 13/12. Oh, okay. So 2/3 is the same. This is different. And then I have the negative 5/12 x here, but nothing left. So they must have taken this 1/4 and then moved it over there. You already did that subtraction earlier. Did I? I don't even know. Did I do that? 5. Oh, unless I cleared my screen. When you got 13 plus. Oh, because it's. I mean, it might have been slightly different. But... This one? Mm-hmm. No. Maybe I'm not seeing it. I don't know. And maybe I'm not seeing it right either. So I'm just going to do it again, guys. Sorry. Okay. So I have 1/4. So I see a plus 1/4. Okay. So if I do that, Hannah, what's opposite of positive? Negative. So I'm going to minus 1/4 on both sides. So when I type this in, I should have alpha y equals enter negative 5/6 minus alpha y equals enter 1/4. Oh, you can't see it. Sorry. That equals negative 13/12. Oh, that is negative 13/12. So that would have been 2/3 x minus 13/12 equals negative 5/2. Yay! So it's that one. Holy moly. So do you see how sometimes when they ask me a question, they're not asking me like what the exact answer is. They're asking me, what is another way that I could have solved it? So when you see this on your quiz, you know it's the last one now. Okay. Okay. That one was really difficult. I know. Okay, that's why we're doing these together. Okay, let's do this one. 4 more to go. So this one says, which equation shows the variable terms isolated? Isolated means by itself on one side and the constant terms isolated on the other side of the equation. Okay. So here's my equation. 3x minus 5 equals negative 2x plus 10. They're basically asking me isolated on one side. So the variable, the letters are on one side and the constant, just the numbers are on the other side. So which one shows the letters on one side and the numbers on the other side? Okay. Is there a number there? Did I cover it up? No. Okay. So let's put all of our letters on one side. Okay. Which one do you think I should drop down? Brooke? The negative 2x because it's smaller. So I'm going to add 2x to both sides. So I have 5x minus 5 equals 10. Okay, so now I'm either moving this 5 or that 5. Do you think I'm moving the 5 connected to the x or not connected to the x? Brooke? Not connected to the x because that's the rule. We always want to do it so it's not connected. So I have 5x equals 15. Do I see 5x equals 15? Because now I have x on one side, numbers on the other. No, 5x equals 15. Darn it. Okay, so maybe they moved the smaller x, and that's okay to do. Remember, you can move the smaller x. You're just going to have negatives. So let's take my original equation again.
You mean the bigger x, right?
Yeah, sorry. Let's move the bigger x. Okay, so out of these two x's, do you see how 3 is bigger than -2? So I'm going to move the bigger x. I see a positive 3, so opposite of positive is negative. I'm going to minus 3x on both sides. I have -5 equals -2 minus 3 is -5x plus 10. So in this case, Parker, which number is not connected to the x? Okay, so that's the one I'm moving. Parker, it says plus 10. What's opposite of plus 10? So I'm going to minus 10 on both sides. So I have -15 equals -5x. Oh, I see that. Do you see that? This one, -15 equals -5x. So that's going to be that answer for that quiz question. Okay, 3 more to go. I think you just saw the answer. I didn't do a good enough job of covering it. Okay, which equation shows the variable terms isolated on one side and the constant terms isolated on the other side? So same exact thing. Which one shows the x's on one side and then the numbers on the other side? Okay, so this is kind of like a crapshoot here. I don't know if they moved the bigger one or the smaller one. So which one do you think we should move first? Bigger one or smaller one? I don't care. What do you guys want? Do you want to move the bigger one first or the smaller one first? Any option will be fine. Jema?
Parker's saying smaller.
Oh, okay. So let's just move the smaller one first because we're used to that. Okay, -1/2, -1/4. I'll tell you right now, this is -0.5 and this is -0.25. That's a trick question. Which one is smaller, -0.5 or -0.25, Brooke? No, you see, and that's always a tricky thing. Yes, Parker, what's your hand up?
I was going to say that the -5 bit, but I mean, it's true, but what else? I can do so need to say it.
Yeah. So do you see how -0.5 is actually smaller? Because when you're talking about negatives, the bigger the digit, the smaller the number is. It's so weird, I know. So this is a smaller one. So let me add 1/2 x to both sides. So I have 3 equals 4, -1/4. Let's see. So I have -1/4 plus 1/2. That gives me 1/4. So that plus 1/4 x. Do you see how, like, because it ended up being a positive 1/4, I write plus 1/4. If it was a negative 1/4, I write minus 1/4. Okay, I'm going to minus 4 on both sides. -1 equals 1/4 x. Okay, x's are on the side, numbers are on the other side. -1 or 1/4 x equals -1. 1/4 x equals -1. I don't see it. We chose wrong. All right. So, I mean, and there's no way of knowing, honestly. So it's literally just guessing. Like, which one do you want to do first? Because you don't know which one the.
Ms. Friedman, if you got that, -1 equals -3/4 x, right? Or was it 1/4 x?
It was 1/4 x.
Couldn't you just also just put the signs of each item on either side of each one? Like instead of going back to the beginning, or is that?
So we had -1 equals 1/4 x. That was our final thing that we ended up with.
Couldn't you just say +1 equals -1/4 x? At that point, instead of going back and doing it all over again?
True. Mr. Tucker, your wisdom is infinite. No. I could do it all over again. But as Mr. Tucker's saying, yeah, like if this is not true, then yes, I could say 1 equals -1/4 x. And I see that here, 1 equals -1/4 x.
Just to save yourself some time if you've done all that work already.
Yes, Mr. Tucker is a genius. So we could do it that way too. If you don't want to do it all again to see, you could just flip the symbol on both sides and see. Yes, that's totally okay. Thank you, Mr. Tucker. I didn't even think to do that. All right. Next one. Horatio, we have two more, guys. Okay, I know, it's hard. Horatio is solving the equation blank. Which equations represent possible ways to begin solving for x? So they're just asking for you to begin solving for x. -3/4 plus 2/5 x equals 7/20 x minus 1/2. Okay, so one way that I could begin solving for x could be to, let's see. Well, let's take a look here. 2/5 is left over, so 2/5 is left over. So here, that must have moved over here. So let's add 3/4 to both sides and see, is -1/2 plus 3/4, does that equal to 1/4 right here? So -1/2 plus 3/4, that does equal 1/4. There is 1/4 here. So that must have been an answer. But it says check all that apply.
Oh, these guys are crazy.
I know,
Yeah.
me too. Okay, so let's try the next one. I have 2/5 x. Wait, hold on. If I had 2/5 x, that means that this must have left. So I had added 3/4 in my old problem. When I added 3/4, I got 1/4, but here it says 5/4. So do you see how, like, this is basically the same thing, this step, but it should say 1/4, so that can't be an answer. Okay, this one, they're left over with -3/4. So it looks like here, what they did was if I have 3/4 left, doesn't that mean that they moved the 2/5 over this way? So they minus 2/5 x on both sides. So I have -3/4 equals, okay, 7/20 minus 2/5. So 7/20 minus 2/5. -1/20. Oh, -1/20. So that must be an answer, which means this can't, right? Because -3/4 equals, like that would have been -1/20. So that can't. I'll tell you right now, when it says check all that apply, there's 3. Okay.
Is it
So
always that way?
I think it's normally always that way. So check all the apply always means there's 3. Okay, so those were my 3 answers. And then finally for this one, we're doing the same thing. Okay. I'm not going to take more time because it's basically the same process as the 2 other questions that we did, and it's a decimal, so it's a little bit easier. I would rather have you take this time and go with Mr. Tucker if you want help on your quiz, or stay with me. Okay, I'm going over with a couple of kids too, but I'm not going over this quiz yet. So if you want to go over this quiz, go with Mr. Tucker.
Yeah, any of you are invited to come to my room to go over the quiz. I have 10 chairs and things that you might come by. Yeah, okay.
Okay,